Welcome back to Travels with Bert. Thanks for joining us. Today we're making a visit to the old governor's mansion in Phatthaung. That's about 200 kilometers and 3 hours south of here, that way. Except, as you can see, we're not actually there. This is a virtual tour because, as I mentioned last week, Bert was grounded by a technical problem. So I'm just sitting outside my home narrating this virtual tour using material from previous visits. But before we do that, just briefly, Bert is fine again now. Now, I realize this is not a YouTube channel about car maintenance, but I feel every car owner should have one of these, the magic red box. Or they should have one of these, a tiny box. Or at least you should know where you can borrow one. Now, they could save you a small fortune, as I'll explain at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So actually, Anna and I, and Bert of course, were at the governor's mansion a couple of months ago with the intention of making this video. But it was towards the end of our very long heat wave. And we wandered all around the buildings, making a kind of recce so that we'd know what was where. And then we agreed that if we stayed in the sun any longer, we'd probably either melt or we'd collapse. So we had lunch instead. It was something like 36 degrees in the shade, but probably 50 plus degrees in the sun, maybe 55-ish. And we were in the sun, not in the shade. So we went back one day last week and had the opposite problem, torrential rain, which of course is quite normal for the monsoon season, except that the forecast said it would be sunny all day. Epic fail there. It rained non-stop for 4 hours out of the 6-hour journey. So this virtual trip probably makes a lot more sense. So first, just a couple of quick facts. When I say governor's mansion, I mean plural. Father and son, 2 governors of Phatthaung province. I could tell you their names, but you probably don't care. Cheeky. It was built in 2 parts, usually referred to as the old part and the new part, helpfully. Actually, we do know that the old part was built in 1889, and the newer part, no one quite knows, but obviously sometime after that, and probably not too long after. Now, wandering around the place, it's not immediately obvious which bit is which, but in this aerial shot, you can see a clear separation. The old part is at the front on the right of the photo, and beyond the small garden is the newer, larger part. The residence also has its own small jetty on the Lampam Canal, which I would call the Lampam River because it's not really a canal, but anyways. You can just see there's a boat tied up there. Anyways, let's take a closer look. So the old residence is in the form of 3 traditional Thai houses, located next to each other high above the ground. And the first and second houses were made into bedrooms, while the third one covered the areas of the walkways in front of the first and second. In the aerial shot, you can see all 3, as you almost can in this shot from the side of the buildings. Here's some general interior photos, and if you think it looks rather sparse, well, these photos were taken a few years ago. If you visit now, the rooms are empty, or at least they were when we were last there. If we go back to the aerial shot, you can see an area that separates the smallest buildings from the identical bedrooms. And it came with a big oval-shaped jar for the governor to take his daily bath, with the servants bringing the water from the so-called canal. Right, so I think we're done with the old part. Let's go down the steps and through the garden to the newer part. The new residence consists of 5 traditional Thai houses, with 2 of the houses serving as the governor's and his family's residence. From this aerial shot, it looks like there's actually 6, but 2 of the roofs in the back are covering 1 building. The rest of the traditional houses surround the residence, with 3 of them designed in smaller sizes, but with the same structure of bedrooms and a front porch for the governor's lesser wives and children, and the others serving as a kitchen. Now, every house was built with wood following the traditional Thai house style. So let's have a quick wander down to the river. This is the exit, and this is where the governor would have arrived and departed on his private barge. And then we have the view up the river and down the river. Now, the main garden is off to one side, perhaps best seen in an aerial shot, down towards the bottom of the photo. And I think now we're done with the governor's residence. Talk briefly about Bert's problems. Last week I mentioned that the dash lights indicated a possible oil pressure problem, and I was mentally prepared for a long drawn-out repair plus a big bill. But I wasn't going to do anything until I checked the error codes in the ECU, essentially the onboard computer. And I think you might be surprised just how easy that is. Every vehicle from model year 1997 onwards has a standard connector where you can plug in a diagnostic device like these, which we looked at before. Now, the red box is actually the simpler and cheaper. It's about the price of a 6-pack of beer. The little one costs more, like a whole case of beer, but is way more sophisticated. It uses Bluetooth to connect to a phone or tablet where you can read all the info you need. The red one shows just a cryptic code like P0BD, which was Bert's problem. But it only takes about a minute to Google and schmoogle to discover what the code means. And here's why you need one, and why it can save you money. You see, Bert's problem had absolutely nothing to do with oil. The warning light was a red herring. In fact, it was a red oil can masquerading as a red herring. The error was caused by a dirty MAF sensor, something that measures airflow. It's easy to remove, easy to clean with a special spray. Where's it gone? Which is actually called Mass Airflow Sensor Cleaner. Also very cheap. And sensors equally easy to reinstall. So Bert's problem was solved for just a few bucks and a small fortune was saved. So are you convinced yet? If you want to know more, drop me a line in the comments area and I'll do my best to explain. But for now, as always, it's goodbye from Bert. No, wait, just one more thing. Travels with Bert is now on Instagram, except it's called More Travels with Bert because some cheeky Germans registered Travels with Bert for their VW Golf. How can you call a Volkswagen Bert? It's just not right. And it's definitely not German. Anywho, there's a link in the description area, and if I remember, I'll put it up there as well. So now it really is goodbye from him, and it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.